Hello, and welcome back to Season 4 of the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people. I'm Ryan, and joining me this episode is producer, multi-instrumentalist, and vocalist from the Mississippi Ska group Flying Raccoon Suit, Kerley. How you doing, man?
Hello, doing fantastic. Real quick correction. I'm not necessarily the vocalist for Flying Raccoon Suit. I do some vocals, but yeah.
Yes. I think that's fair enough. I was going to put sometimes vocalist in that, just didn't roll off as well, so...
Already going on a tangent, but yeah, so like we're one of the bands that you have like a dual vocalist situations, except it's a dual vocalist situation and sometimes a trifecta, but only sometimes.
Nice. So do you want to take a second to introduce yourself and talk about the band and the music that you've got coming out? You just released a few months ago the new Flying Raccoon Suit record, Moonflower.
Yeah. I'm Kerley. I do drums primarily in the band, as well as the production. So all the actual recording, the mixing, the engineering, everything's done kind of in between my bedroom that I'm in right now and our guitarist and other vocalists, Andy, basically at his house.
Okay.
I also do keys for the band. And yeah, we just released Moonflower, like you said, and it was released on Bad Time Records this time around, which is kind of crazy because I guess, oh my gosh, my years are mixed up. Before this album, we released Afterglow, and it was like... Let me just start over. We've been a band for a long fucking time. Like, we're like high school friends. Like, we've been best friends.
Okay, right on.
Like, the core group of us have been friends forever. And like, we were one of the high school bands that were pretty shitty. Like, I didn't actually join the band till slightly after high school, like basically in our college years. But I've been buddies with them. Like, I played in like a kind of crappy like grunge metal band. And we would play shows together. And Flying Raccoon Suit was the first like ska band I had ever heard. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was crazy. So like basically what happened was for my bands and kind of what I just did on the side, like I always had dreams of like producing and recording my own music just out of necessity because we're from South Mississippi and just grew up dirt poor. Like being in like a professional studio setting was just never fathomable. So I was like, you know what? It can't be that hard.
I feel that for sure.
It can't be that hard producing your own music. And it turns out it's really fucking hard and you have to put a lot of work into it. But yeah. Flying Raccoon Suit was one of the first like big projects that I ever did record, and our first album was Paper Airplanes, but like we don't count it as our first album because we don't want to. It's not great.
I was gonna say, is that one even on Bandcamp or streaming? Because I didn't even see that one.
I think it's on Bandcamp. I don't think it's on Spotify. It's possible it got removed everywhere. And you know what? Maybe we're better off, you know? But
I was going to say, I think on Bandcamp, it was the same thing as on Spotify, which is Flying Raccoon Suit Makes a Friend.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually our second record. It's our secret record.
Okay, really? The secret first record. I like it.
What's actually hilarious is because... and we have like a Discord band chat and stuff, and we actually were just talking about this because we've seen like a lot of outlets like state Moonflower. Oh yeah, Flying Raccoon Suit's second album. And it's like, yeah, let's go with that. That sounds good. It's technically our fourth album, but it's like we kind of again came out of high school. We're a really shitty band. I was a really shitty producer, like recording again in Andy's spare bedroom. And I was doing my best. I was out there learning. I was still not even on a computer. I was just working out of like one of those like studio in a box type of deals. What a disaster. But produced their first record and they had a lineup change because Andy, the guitarist, actually was the drummer for the band at the time, but they were going through some lineup changes. And there was like a couple songs where he's like, hey, why don't you record drums for us while we're looking for a new drummer? They fucking got me, dude. What a front.
Fooled you.
Yeah.
You're in the band now, motherfucker.
Yeah, they fucking got me. I fell in love with like the style of music and stuff because like I'm traditionally just kind of like a metalhead and like a prog rock guy. And like ska, like especially at the time, I didn't realize ska was like just like a open book. Like I didn't realize that. I just thought it was just like a punk genre with horns, basically. But
you're like, oh, that's that thing that was popular for a little while in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really funny because like again, Flying Raccoon Suit was my introduction to ska. So like from that point, it's like, well, okay, what else is ska? Is Chicago ska? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I don't understand it. What the fuck is this? It's like, is it reggae? It's like kind of, but not. And to this day, don't know what it is. I have no idea.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's hard to define, but you know it when you hear it type of thing.
100%. But yeah, so produced their first record, joined the band, fell in love with them. And then we decided to kind of, again, now Andy's on guitar doing vocals. We're still kind of shitty punk rock ska band. We decided to go ahead and make a second record years later. And we kind of started to become more serious about it and eventually hired Jessica, our singer. Like one of the greatest decisions we could have ever done. It was like, again, we were all friends. Like Jessica was one of the first friends I had in middle school when I moved to Mississippi. So it's like we all have like this lineage of friendship going way back. And she was
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. She was in some like indie kind of ska-ish bands locally, and it's like, why don't we just do the thing? We found Nevin, our alto sax player, and made that record. And I actually think that record kind of slaps. Song wise, I think the production's still pretty shitty, but
I listened to a couple tunes off of it. That's the Flying Raccoon Suit Makes a Friend record, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I listened to a couple of songs on that. Honestly, the skeleton of the sound that you guys have now is there from that record for sure. It's definitely like a little bit more raw, but I mean, it's all there. You can trace the lineage back
for sure. Yeah, and a little bit. You know what's hilarious is like we put out that record and we did one album release show and then disappeared. the dumbest like band of all time. It's just like, all right, we did the album. Let's not promote that or go on tour or do anything. And so for a while we were just kind of on hiatus, and eventually we got our trumpet player Brandon. He joined in, and we were doing like kind of money gigs. Like we'd play like 3-hour sets locally and stuff, and did that kind of thing.
Just like at bars and casinos and like that sort of thing.
Yeah, mostly just dive bars and whoever would just pay us a guarantee.
Fair enough.
We were still doing like the punk and ska stuff, so it was very limited on where we could play still, but we were kind of doing that whole thing and just really not being a great like DIY band. Like we just like weren't doing the thing until like we finally had like solidified our sound and our lineup, and we're like, let's fucking do this thing for real this time. So we kind of hooked up with Brent from We Are the Union, and
right on.
Yeah, he was kind of just our guide like for everything for a while. We kind of like took a lot of like mentorship from him on like how to release, how we should do things. We did a Kickstarter for Afterglow, which was like our first album. We're gonna call it the first album.
Yeah.
And it was
of the modern era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy because at this point we've been a band for a while, and we owe a lot of our success to like good social media. Like again, Brent's mentorship. We owe a lot to Jer. They found us from our single Static Home, and they shared it. It ended up on a lot of playlists and getting a lot of attention and stuff in like the ska community. And yeah, we had Afterglow, we did a Kickstarter, and I think we raised over like 10 grand or something crazy. Like it was insane. And all of a sudden, like we're just kind of like quote unquote on the map for like the ska scene. And that album was a success. We went on a tour without me because I found a new job, but got to play around the country. It totally did. It was great. I loved it so much. I wasn't there. So having like a successful, quote unquote successful album, we were then just like, well, what do we do now? We obviously like can't stop. We had to keep the ball rolling. So we finished Afterglow and never stopped. Like we recorded an EP, which was like remixed versions of the Afterglow album. Everything from like folk acoustic takes of the songs from Afterglow. There was like a hyper pop like Lord type song for the song Afterglow. We did a bunch of covers. We did like a Operation Ivy cover. We did a Final Fantasy VII cover. We did Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64. All kinds of just crazy stuff. Yeah. We did we were on a Rancid compilation, and then we buckled down and did Moonflower, which released in November. And it was terrifying because again, like we kind of had this wild success for an album that actually resonated with people. How do you follow that up without being terrified of like, was it just lightning in a bottle? Can we recapture that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
no, I totally get that for sure.
And yeah, it came out. Everybody seems to like it, and I think it's going pretty well. We'll see, like, I guess once we get like on the road with it. But right now I'm just so happy that so many people loved it.
Have you guys played any promotional shows for it yet, or has it largely just been online promotion and shows are going to come later this year?
What was cool was we played Fest the past couple of years. It's like a festival that's in Gainesville, Florida, and it was literally like right on the cusp of release, but we had the record in hand, and like we actually got to play a bunch of new stuff from it there. And we had released, I think, 3 singles up to that point, and that festival is just insane for us in general. It's kind of crazy, again, like this being like a pipe dream. A band from South Mississippi finding any success is just insane, especially for our genre of music. But like playing a capped room with like a line still out the door and people singing new songs that haven't released on a record yet is just insane. It's so fucking heartwarming. It's crazy.
I feel like for a lot of bands, especially like punk adjacent bands that have that very like DIY kind of feel to them, that Fest is very much like a I've made it once I've played Fest type of deal.
It feels like it, because like, again, like the I made it quote is so funny because I use that all the time, but like it's different for everybody. It's like, is that making a living doing it? Is that like being a fucking rock star playing stadiums and shit? Like for me, honestly, like making it is just like I have an outlet and an audience and a means to produce our music in a way that both the band and I are happy with and people look forward to, and like that's it for me. Like we fucking made it. Like it's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Everybody defines kind of like success and making it differently. But I definitely feel like that is like a goalpost for a lot of bands in this scene, is to be able to play a show like Fest, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And
so I'm...
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I insist.
All right. What I was going to say is I'm assuming, because you had mentioned that you had a lot of mentorship and also just introduction to the community through We Are the Union and Jer. I'm assuming that is also how you got involved with Bad Time Records as well.
Yeah. And so following that mentorship and everything, we obviously knew that doing like a Kickstarter on Afterglow was an extreme risk, like because like we wouldn't be able to afford vinyl and shit like that on our own. But like that's the big thing, like for bands, like physical sales like don't exist outside of vinyl at this point anyway. Like nobody's buying CDs, nobody's buying music, but they'll buy a vinyl because it's got dope artwork and it's big and it's pretty and all that.
For sure.
So we knew that was a risk. So we did pitch around to basically anybody that we could, and like, hey, we're releasing this album, we really believe in it and think it's awesome. And understandably so, people said no, because again, we at this point, like we do have a pretty good social media presence, but as far as like the work that we put in a band kind of doesn't show at that point. Like again, we released Flying Raccoon Suit Makes a Friend and didn't do anything with it. Like it's like so it really does feel like album one in that way, and I think that's probably why people look at it that way or don't even know the others exist, which again, completely fine. Start with Afterglow and work your way up, I say. But like we actually pitched it to Mike from Bad Time Records, and he was the only one that responded. If I remember, Andy's mostly the guy who handles this stuff, but he was the one that responded like, I really dig this, I believe in you guys, but like it's not I don't really have it in my window right now. So we did do it completely DIY with Kickstarter, of course. And then of course when Moonflower rolled around, we kind of again riding the back of Afterglow, we maybe had a couple more options, and being that Mike was the one guy that did respond and was like encouraging, it's like, why don't we just pitch it to Mike again? And
for sure. Yeah.
It ended up working out. And again, we are, that's the crazy thing about the ska punk community, is it is so tight knit, and it is such a bizarre thing, because I've been in like indie bands, I've been in metal bands, rock bands, what have you, and it never feels like an actual community, at least like around here where I'm from and the bands that I've played with. It always feels so like competitive,
segmented.
Or like, yeah, it feels so segmented, because like the metal band that I was playing with either was too heavy for some bands or not heavy enough, and like you got the metal guy standing in the corner with their arms crossed, like watching you play, and it's like, oh, come on, y'all. It's like you go to a ska punk show and everybody's each other's hype man, and that's so cool because it's legitimate. It's not like competitive or anything like that. Like we all legitimately love each other and want to see everybody succeed, and that's how you build a scene. That's how the ska punk community is like growing and thriving right now, because of that community. And being that we did join in that and I guess are now a part of it, like that, it still feels like it's a weird like imposter syndrome thing that I'm dealing with now, to say like, yeah, we're a part of that scene. Like it's really cool to be a part of it, and I understand we are, but it still feels kind of odd. Like, but I feel like a lot of that lent to us signing on with Bad Time for the most recent record. But so far everything's been really positive.
Yeah, I actually only got into the modern ska scene about a year ago through, I mean, I had been mutuals with Jer for a little while and stuff like that, but we never really like interacted and stuff like that. But it was like just seeing and being exposed to more through other people that I follow on social media. I got to find some of the bands more, and I even went to the Bad Time tour over the summer when it came through, which was really cool. And it's really funny because I've never really thought of myself as like a ska person, but over the course of like a month, I was really hyped for Moonflower, and then I think Joystick released an EP around that time too that I listened to like the night of when it dropped at midnight. And I think that I had featured who was it? I had featured somebody on the podcast too, Simple Minded Symphony, I think.
Yes.
Who are on Ska Punk International Records. And so I think that it's been really cool, kind of getting to see the scene, being exposed to more of it, and now kind of having you guys on being kind of newcomers to the scene yourself. I think that that's a really neat kind of full circle moment for my ska experience over the last year, which I think is really neat.
For sure. And I always say like I'm like the fakest ska fan because like it's like, again, not my like genre of choice. Like I don't listen to a lot of the classic stuff or like even the third wave stuff. It's all the newer shit that I'm into because that's like, but I guess there's a couple exceptions, but like the main reason why I love this scene and why I love this music is because of what the bands that are doing, I guess you would call new tone bands and things like that. That's the shit that I'm like super diehard into. And like it's so funny because we've been a band and we've been doing like this genre for this long, and I kind of just didn't like it. Like, if I'm being honest, it's like I would be like I'm in a ska band, but it's like now that I I know the newer bands and like I've actually like discovered where the actual heart is in it. It's like I fucking love it, and definitely become more open minded as I got older into music as well. Like I was such like a little douchebag when I was a teenager. I was like, thrash metal or nothing, man. It's like any kind of like the emo scene and things like that, I would always just like roll my eyes at, but now I'm like really hardcore into it now.
Well, and especially with a lot of the modern like new tone stuff, there's so much crossover between genres too, because you've got you guys incorporating like elements of metal and stuff like that on the new record. You've got a lot of punk and hardcore with a lot of bands like Power Up and Joystick, and I think that it's really cool how all of these different bands are doing what is identifiably ska, but doing it their own way with their own influences. I mean, one of the craziest ones, you look at Eichler's doing the fucking like hyperpop ska shit. Like, it's insane. And, this is the first time in music history that I think anybody would be open to that as a thing.
Dude, I agree. Yeah, I think that's really why I love it, because although you can jumble it into a genre or a scene, like it's so diverse, it's insane that you can go from Eichler's to Power Up. And it's like, you could put them on the same bill and everybody's going to go fucking hard as hell.
People would be
like,
hype as hell for that. Yeah,
like
for
100%.
Sure.
It's so dope. It's so fucking awesome. And again, it feels so weird to be a part of that now. It's incredible. It feels great.
I talk about this every single episode, but we really are living in like a post-genre world, it feels like, where you can just kind of take your favorite elements from everything, put them together, and make a record, and there's going to be some sort of audience for it.
Yeah, and with us, Flying Raccoon Suit, I think that's like the secret sauce of our band, and how we really kind of came into our sound is like we kind of embraced our influences, like me coming from like a prog rock thrashy guy, mix that with Andy, who's like into punk and ska. He was there for like the third wave movement and all that shit, and really into indie rock. And then find Jessica, who's like straight up indie and she likes death metal and like kind of all around thing, mixed in with our horn players who are like jazz players and really like complex music theory guys. We don't shy away from any of it. Like, if somebody's got an idea, we're at least gonna give it a shot. Like, perfect example is our newest record. There's a song called "Long in the Tooth." My
favorite song on the record. When I got to listen to it early, that was like the one that stood out to me. I was like, "Holy shit, this is something completely different." It's so cool,
dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, that song almost didn't make the album because like I got it in my head
That's
about
crazy
it.
to me.
I got in my head about it because Andy had been asking me to write a song for us for years at this point, and I was like, yeah, cool, that sounds great. I would always get like to like a 50 to 70% way of like composing and writing it, and I would just scrap it. I'd be like, this doesn't fit with Flying Raccoon Suit, until like I realized like that's stupid to say because we have all these songs that are genre blending. Like fuck that, let's actually just commit and do it. And I was terrified to show the song to the guys, like, because again, this is like the first time I've from A to Z wrote a song, like all the arrangements and everything. I got to that 90% here where it's like done and I'm ready to show it to them, and something about it still didn't click, where I was like, this still isn't Flying Raccoon Suit. So like I scrapped my horn arrangements and my vocals and sent it to Andy and Jessica, and they didn't bat an eye. They're just like, sick, I'm gonna write some horns. Jessica's like, I'm gonna do some vocals. I'm like, fuck, it's happening. All right, cool. Like everybody's so open-minded in the band, and like again, like the horn players will come in, and I produce the band, but like a lot of it is very collaborative, where they'll come in, they'll hear the parts, they'll come up with stuff on the fly, and then I kind of go behind them, kind of with maybe some ideas, bits and pieces. But like, again, Brandon and Nevin in particular are just way above my head on music theory. So they're like over there speaking their jargon on whatever the fuck they're coming up with. And they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Like, let me hear it. Like, it's great. But I think that's kind of where we found our sound, is just like embracing the influences and the musical freedom that the genre just allows for at this point, where it's just like, we're still, again, at the core of it, we've still got that ska swing to it. Like it's got the upbeat strokes and things like that. But honestly, like we could write any genre at this point, and I don't think anybody would be surprised.
No, I definitely agree that that's kind of like the spice that makes this record so interesting to me, is how all over the place it is. Because you guys have also mentioned on Twitter that this is also very heavily influenced by like New Orleans jazz and stuff like that, which I think is fucking sick. Especially like the front half of the record, I feel that influence a lot more with like Vidalia and Long Shot and stuff like that. But I mean, the horn arrangements all over the place are so cool with that type of thing.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of that is Andy. He's our core songwriter. We wanted to do something different with the beginning of the album, because the last record had like a heavy opening. The one before that had a heavy opening, and we're like, why don't we just actually do like a dirgy kind of like New Orleans-y like horns opening? And I think it sets the tone for the record beautifully. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, and again, like I love like proggy shit. Like my favorite band is Coheed and Cambria. So like any kind of like
that
really
tracks.
Yeah, any kind of like up your own ass kind of shit that we could pull off, I'm totally up for it. So like there's like lyrical references to other songs in that song. Long Shot's horn part is the same, but like a lot faster and a little more like Balkan sounding and stuff. Like so any kind of shit like that, I'm so down for.
One other thing I noticed, I'm really curious if I've just made this up myself because it just makes so much sense, or if it's actually there. But on Vidalia, you guys are Flying Raccoon Suit, which is a Mario reference, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's like the sped up part at the very end of Vidalia reminds me a lot of like Mario soundtrack music. Is that like a reference to that, or am I just putting together strings that like almost exist?
So it's definitely not that, but we were wanting it to reference Long Shot. So like if you listen to the main horn line of Long Shot, the the ending of Vidalia is basically that. So we wanted it to kind of do a swing version of that to kind of meld the songs together and kind of flow that way. I will say though, it probably was subconsciously somewhere in there, just for the simple fact, like I was mentioning, we did a Mario Kart 64 compilation where we did Wario Stadium for Game Grooves. They do a lot of like ska video game soundtrack things.
That's awesome.
We did that one, and that was the exact idea. Is like we wanted to do the third lap, but instead of going faster, we did like a metal halftime breakdown, and it was insane.
Okay.
So like it might have actually been like subconsciously still influenced by Mario, and we just didn't know it. I'm glad you caught it, because we didn't.
Well, that's amazing. It's just so funny because I've been listening to this album. I bought the CD and I've just had it in my car over the last month, like to prepare for this so that I could get like really like get to know the album really well. And that was something that I just kept coming back to. I'm like, I feel like I've heard something almost exactly, if not exactly like this before, but I can't quite place it. But it sounds very video gamey to me.
Dude, it wouldn't surprise me. We're fucking nerds, man. Like a lot of us are gamers. Like, I mean, I do like a YouTube channel, literally, well, I guess it's on Twitch now, but a live streaming video games, a lot of Mario Maker, a lot of like Mario 64. Right, last night I was speedrunning Mario 64 with friends and stuff. And a lot of what I do too, music production wise, is just video game covers. I have like one video that's like literally Donkey Kong Country, but it's like a 13-minute medley of like the original soundtrack. I've been working.
Oh, that's amazing.
I've been working on the sequel to this video for 5 years. It's not released yet, but I swear it's happening this year. It's gonna happen.
Well, now it's on record. You have to do it.
I know, right?
I'm
there.
gonna leave that in.
Literally, it's gonna be insane because it's gonna be a time capsule. Because there are shots that I filmed when my wife was pregnant, and like my son is gonna turn 5 this year. So it's like
crazy.
It's crazy. It really is. I can't wait to fucking release that. It's gonna be insane. But yeah, we're fucking dorks. I'm a huge gamer. I love video game soundtracks, so a lot of like influence is from that. Like I'm really into Broadway musicals, things like that. I love things that tell a story and like a musical journey, because like Long in the Tooth, for example, I think goes on like a kind of musical journey. It's like a 5.5 minute song, which is like our longest song yet, and I had to trim like 3 minutes off. Like
really?
Like, yeah, I had so many ideas and so many things. I'm like, fucking rein it in, dude. Like this is still like Flying Raccoon Suit. You got to chill out. Like
when are we getting the extended version?
You know what's funny
cut.
is like this was a test bed for me to see like how far can I take this before somebody's like, bro, y'all gotta chill. Like fucking rein it in.
I want more.
So I anticipate that could probably be like an album special where maybe like every album there's a Kerley song on there that's just like goes
I like
off
that.
the rails. That's not confirmed or anything, but I have a feeling that might be like the secret sauce for the like the next upcoming albums and whatnot.
I think that would be rad. So while we're on the topic of like video games and nerd shit and all that, I was kind of thinking, because I knew that was something about you that I wanted to ask a question about that. What do you think is like your favorite game that you've played over the last year?
Oof. Last year. It's kind of,
I know that's a long time.
It's kind of a cheat answer because it didn't come out last year, but I finally gave it its dues and played Hollow Knight.
Oh, nice.
Dude, I played the game a long time ago. I was doing like a 24-hour live stream. Somebody bought it for me and was like, you got to play this game. And I played it for like 5 hours and I loved it. And then I set it down and didn't play it again until like last year. Dude, that game fucking rules. You want to talk about soundtracks? Holy shit. It goes so hard for like a 2D animated 2D Metroidvania style game. I love that. I loved Elden Ring. I've fallen in love with like the Souls games. Is that last year? Because I don't even know.
I think Elden Ring was 2 years ago.
Okay.
I'm
still going to count it.
Yeah, because I was at my old job when that came out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would have had to have been like 2 years ago.
I'm currently playing through Mario Wonder. I think it's a fucking masterpiece. It's incredible.
Nice.
Tears of the
I'm
Kingdom.
actually currently playing Odyssey for the first time. So
yo, okay. I fucking I fuck with Mario so hard, man. I love all the 3D games, the 2D games. What do you think of Odyssey?
I like it so far. I haven't played like a collectathon 3D platformer in a very long time, because it feels like 20 years ago ish they were everywhere. It was like every single game from that generation was like some sort of 3D collectathon platformer thing, and you just don't really get them that much anymore. And I thought it was really refreshing. I think it's really cool.
Hell yeah, I love it so much. But like I was playing Mario 64 last night, and like that's just probably my favorite game of all time. Between that and like Donkey Kong Country 2, like I love Odyssey though.
So getting into the production a little bit, since you're the drummer, I would assume that you have some sort of, because you said that production was between you and another member of the band, both like home studio type of situation, right? Mm-hmm. So I would assume that you record drums at your place, since that's probably where the drums already exist.
I wish. The reason why we split the two places, is that exact reason. Good call. I've got an E-kit broken down somewhere over here because I have neighbors that are just complete dickbags, dude. They don't do the loud drums. Like I can't play my drums at home. I can't even practice outside of an E-kit. So
that sucks.
Honestly, the only reason why we record partly at Andy's is because his neighbors and whatnot are a lot more lenient. So basically, his living room is the drum room. But
okay.
So over the years, I've been basically collecting equipment. I think this might be again like the imposter syndrome. Like I've only just started feeling like more comfortable as a producer and like feel comfortable with the work that we output and things like that. But I'm a very minimalist like producer and I guess an engineer where like I'm not a big gearhead. I'm not like really in the Duffy with the crazy plugins. Like I still use a lot of stock plugins and just Pro Tools, and I only use Pro Tools because it's what I learned in college.
Fair enough. That's mostly why I use Logic is because I learned Logic in college and I'm just like, I'm too stubborn to move on.
Same. I tried Reaper out and I'm like, I just don't know where anything is. I'm getting more pissed off than like fixing things. But like
I tried Ableton and there's some cool ass shit that you can do, but I just get so lost because it's so different than literally any other DAW except like maybe like FL, which I've never used at all. So
okay. I'm just Pro Tools, they fucked me on some update things and I'm salty about it. So I'm not happy about it, but it's the platform I use and I don't see myself moving from it. Just
fair enough.
Like it's baby's first like DAW. So I'm like, I'm stuck there. But I'm pretty minimalist on things. So like over literally like I guess the past 15 years or so, I've just been collecting gear and whatnot. And I've finally got a point to where my recording studio is basically mobile. It's on like a rolling rack. It's pretty heavy on the back, but pretty much I load the rolling rack in my car, go to Andy's house, put up the drums, and everything's kind of just there. You just plug the computer in and mic it up and go for it.
That's actually pretty rad.
Yeah, no, it actually works. It's really efficient. It's crazy how efficient we've gotten since Afterglow because like I said, we didn't really stop. We just kept like pumping things out and recording. And like this is the longest break now that I've had from recording in years. Like it's kind of crazy. It feels weird that I'm not like hitting Andy up tomorrow being like, hey, what's the next day we're recording, or rather him hitting me up because I'm garbage. Like he is the man that keeps everything straight, man. If I can give any shout out to anybody in this band, is fucking Andy Heaton. That guy is insane. He's a genius and he keeps everything afloat. But I'm pretty minimal on everything as far as like the overall goal and everything for production and whatnot. Like I want it to sound like us. I want it to sound like a real band. So I'm not going too hard with like sample replacements, but I found a good balance where like I got really lazy and actually like started sampling my own kit. Like I took one like whole like couple days of just getting samples of my own kit, like with the nice tuning and whatnot. So like I always have that as like a fail safe. Like if I'm pressed for time and I'm going over to Andy's and I don't have time to tune up the kit because like he does live about an hour away. So it's already like pack everything up, drive an hour, set everything up. Yeah. And it's like I don't want to leave my shit set up in their living room for a week. So it's like if I gotta pump out a song, like at least if I am sample replacing, it's with my own kit. And that's like a stubborn thing for me. Like I want it to sound like us. I want it to sound like me, and I want it to sound like my drums. And the real goal is to make it sound as not home studio as possible. And I'm getting close. It's not there yet. Like it's very clear that it's a DIY production, but like I'm like finally on the precipice of like being happy with it. Like
not to just gas you up or anything, but like I think that the production on this record sounds amazing.
Thank you.
I would when I saw like Kerley Studios on the thing, I was like, oh man, this guy's legit. He's got like a studio set up and the whole deal. I didn't realize that it was like a bedroom studio situation.
Oh, dude,
so
that's all a ruse. You got to fake it till you make it, man.
No, 100%. And that's the thing with the, like, you were talking about the imposter syndrome is like, I feel like there's this like legacy idea of like, you work in the multi-million-dollar studio with like a huge Neve console and like a bunch of live rooms and shit. And everybody's kind of like, that's what's, again, going back to what success looks like, everybody's like, that's what it means to really be, you know, a professional engineer, professional producer. But in the modern age, so much of it is happening at home in smaller studios and stuff like that. And at certain points, it does take extra work because you aren't able to get like, you know, a beautiful sounding live room sounds amazing because it's designed to, whereas, you know, if you're in a spare bedroom or whatever, 100%, it's definitely not going to be the same thing. But I feel like that's being normalized a lot more, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and that's actually a great point because the end goal is to get it to sounding that it's bigger than like a spare bedroom. And I've learned a lot of tricks over the years of like fake reverbs to emulate basically what a room mic would sound like in a nice studio. So like I do a lot of like with my own drum samples, I've got a lot of like fake room reverbs that I blend in with the tone of the drum, and like it in the overall mix, everything sounds pretty big compared to what it sounds like just off the live mics. It's kind of crazy. I've learned a lot of tricks with that and just fucking around with it over the years. And going back to your point of like the big studio and the equipment, I've always been in the mindset just out of necessity, where it's like, if I can get it sounding good on my gear, the next upgrade is just going to make it sound that much better. So like,
oh yeah,
starting with just stock plugins with the like 5 SM57s, if you can make a record that sounds great with that equipment, just imagine what you could do with state of the art. It's always that mindset for me, where it's like every piece of gear that I obtain, it's a necessity to the goal. It's not like I need all this shit. I don't need a Neve board. Like, for what? Like, why would I need it?
Yeah.
But one day when I do, it's gonna fucking rule. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another thing that I've talked about a lot recently on the podcast, and kind of on my production journey as well, is kind of learning to use what you have before upgrading things, just because new equipment isn't going to do anything if you don't know how to use it. Mm-hmm. And so learning the skills and the tricks of the trade is really that first step. And a lot of people kind of try to spend money to get out of that stage, and you just really can't do that.
What was your college experience like in audio?
So it was kind of interesting. I didn't go to an audio school. I went to Michigan Technological University in Upper Peninsula, middle of nowhere, Michigan, on the Canadian border, essentially. And so we didn't have a huge, like, high-end studio. We had a vocal booth. We had a decent sounding, like, live room, but it was also the only room that, like, the jazz band and the pep band and all of the different, like, ensembles also always rehearsed in when they weren't playing shows. And so you really had to, like, work around all that schedule to use that room and things like that. We didn't have any sort of, like, crazy big consoles or anything. We used a Midas Pro 2C as, like, the console to, like, control Pro Tools and stuff. And then we had a few other small studios that were basically, like, the size of a bedroom studio. Nice. Essentially. So, but it was cool because it wasn't a recording centric program. It was very much learning about live sound and learning about recording and learning about acoustics and sound design. And so I think that it's really cool that I feel like I got a much more well-rounded audio experience than a lot of other places, but also I didn't get to experience the, like, multi-billion dollar, like, state-of-the-art recording facilities that you would get if you went to, you know, like Berkeley or anything crazy like that. So I don't know. I like what I got out of it, but, you know, just very different from a lot of other people's experience going to school for audio or music production. Yeah, I always bring that up too, where it's like I went to college for it. I think the major is called entertainment industry production. So it's not just audio engineering. It was a little more well-rounded, but honestly, a lot of what college taught me was just how to learn things efficiently. Yeah. And of course, networking was literally everything. And so I commuted to college like an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back. So I didn't actually like dorm or live where it was. So like booking studio time and things like that were just out of the picture, unfortunately. But like I don't regret going, because it did teach me a lot of well-rounded things and teach me how to learn. But like when people are like, oh shit, you went to school for it, and it's like, yeah, but like honestly, I learned everything by doing. Like if I didn't record my own bands or go out and record other bands, like that's the real only way to learn. And I honestly think YouTube is more powerful than college could ever be. Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing that I have to show from my experience is definitely like the connections to people. But there was something else I was going to go for with that, but I don't remember what it was. Is there anything else that you specifically want to talk about this record before we move on to the next part of the episode? I don't really know. I feel like, again, I just feel so lucky that we're in a position now where we can release music to fans. It's awesome. It feels great to be to be part of the Bad Time family, but to still be running independently and be confident in that. I think it's awesome, and I hope we continue to get to do it for a long time. I do as well, because you guys are killing it right now, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds for Flying Raccoon Suit. Thank you.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next part of the episode here, this is where we're going to go back and forth introducing some songs that we've been listening to or, just feel like need a larger audience than what they're currently getting. So I will have the first song of the evening. We'll go back and forth, which is going to give you the closer. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Awesome. So my first song is actually, I can't remember if I had mentioned this or not, but I am currently in Detroit and potentially just saw the Lions make it to the Super Bowl. Oh no, they lost. That sucks. I'm gonna cut that out. So I'm currently in Detroit, and the first song that I want to feature is by a local Detroit artist that I found just playing a local gig a little less than a year ago. Probably I've seen them play around a couple times. The first show that I saw them play was with my buddies in the band Toad. It was this weird show that kind of like they had some other bands booked and then they like dropped out last minute, and so some other like local acts got added. But this is an artist called Premium Rat, and nice. They do some like pop punky type of stuff. Although the couple of times that I've seen them live, they just played acoustic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them with a full band at some point. But this is their newest single, which came out at the beginning of this year, January 5th. And this song is called Connecticut by Premium Rat.
Time armed with 3 outfits and no food, make it a few blocks before I realized I was screwed. 'Cause even if I ran away, I couldn't outrun my brain. I remember sitting on the stairs, eavesdropping on Mom and Dad, fighting over me. They were scared, 'cause a child shouldn't be this sad. Every night at 3 a.m. like clockwork, regurgitate my guts, stress out the doctors. Turns out rich friends and a broken home don't do a lot to make you feel less alone. Running on naive New York dreams in Connecticut, could only see suburban streets as desolate. I'm 6 years old in kindergarten, begging Dad to put me in the talent show. And I think that this is when it started. A little girl who just wanted to know. Maybe if I can sing, my life can really mean something. Turns out white classmates and cul-de-sacs don't do a lot to show you the things you lack. Helicopter pads and
God, I love that song.
Yeah, man, that was great. Talk about good production. Holy shit.
Yeah, right. Well, that's one of the things is like, this is going to sound kind of backhanded and I don't mean it that way. But like when you see a new artist with like less than, you know, a couple hundred monthly listeners on Spotify and they release something, a lot of the time you're not expecting the best production.
Right.
That's just kind of that's just kind of like how it goes. You're like, there's probably going to be some bangers on here, but it might sound a little rough. And I listened to this the first time, I was blown away. I'm like, how is this not on the radio right now?
Yeah,
like this is so killer. It sounds like multi-million-dollar production.
Yeah, there's something really spicy about their vocal production. I don't know what it is, but I love it. Like,
yeah,
and I'm also a sucker for.
It sits right in the mix.
Yeah, I'm always also a sucker for like the pre-chorus with like a different drum sound entirely, like cut to like the room mics or whatever. Don't really know exactly what they're doing there, but they did that a couple times. And then the final pre-chorus was just the vocals, like the lo-fi vocals with the lo-fi acoustic, and the way they blended into that final chorus. So that was fucking tasty. I like that.
Yeah,
that was great.
Well, that was one of the things that I was going to mention too, is that this song puts on a fucking clinic when it comes to arrangement and song structure.
Yep.
Because one of the other things that I really like is how you get the pre-chorus after the first verse, and then there's the delayed gratification because it goes back to the second verse. Then you get the pre-chorus again, and then finally the chorus hits. and so it's like that delayed gratification just makes the chorus hit even harder when it comes up the first time, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, no, I'm into it. I want to listen to more of them. That's great.
Well, like you said as well, I think that just the arrangement with like the different vocals and like cutting to like the room mics and making things feel a bit more stripped back and then bringing in the fuller like punchy production really just makes this thing a ride to listen to. Like, especially the first time you listen to it, it's just ear to ear smile the entire time.
It caught me off guard. There was one point where she had like a harmony going on that was like panned out and it got like really wide and really angelic for a moment. It caught me off guard. I was like, damn, it was angelic. Like, it was beautiful.
Oh yeah. I don't know literally anything about the production of this, but it just sounds phenomenal. I'm so into it. This is my most listened to song of the year already.
Yeah. That's great.
So what's the next tune going to be? This is going to be your first one.
Yeah, so during our conversation, we brought up a few of the bands because I think there's a lot of people in the ska punk community that either A, aren't getting like the love they absolutely deserve, or B, just deserve a fucking shout out. The first song that I have queued up here is actually Simple Minded Symphony.
Nice.
They put out, and it's hard because I put out a record last year, but I think they put out my favorite record last year with their self-titled. I love this band. I love the people so much. Like, we got to play with them at Ska Punk International Fest in Texas, and I think it was Texas. Yeah, yep, in Austin. And seeing them live before I had really knew them, oh my god, I never wanted to go home and like practice or throw away my drums and guitar and my bass, all of it in the fucking trash so quickly. Like, these dudes are something else, man. Just to see live. And then yeah, they put out this record, and again, my album should be my favorite album that came out last year, but there's two of them that came out that I'm like, nope, this takes the cake. Sorry.
Yeah, it's such a good record.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see which one you picked.
And I struggle because my favorite song on here is Armistice, but I went with one of their singles, which is Feather. I think it's a really good showcase of their sound overall. It has really good catchy like horn lines, really beautiful vocals, a nice guitar line and things like that. But I highly recommend everyone to check out the full album. Again, Armistice is probably my favorite one, but between that and just Overcast, the ending song.
Overcast is the one that I featured on a previous episode a few months ago. That one's personally my favorite, but the entire record is killer.
It is.
You know I should know better. I never planned for the weather, no. But what else do I need to know? I try to float like a feather, but I got the world weighing me down. It's like I never ever left the ground. And then you say, well, picture this, one day you'll start all over, become divergent from the former. You know I wanna be one of them. One of them who get right out from under. Like what's that all about, I wonder. Will I ever be one of them? Catch me releasing the things that got me so low. Singing aloud, maybe I got this right after all. But until then, say how you feeling, defeated, I mean it, I need to forget it. You know I'll never be one of them, no. Well, I know you, and you know me too. Feel alright for a while. Don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know.
That horn arrangement at the end is so good.
Yeah, they're just showing off, and I think I'm pregnant now.
It's kind of funny because I always think of
sorry.
Simple Minded Symphony as like a progressive ska band, if that makes any sense.
No, totally.
The way that they like structure their songs and stuff like that is so off the wall and unique, and it's really interesting to listen to. But the thing that I think is neat about this song is that it's not quite as progressive as a lot of their other stuff. It feels like it takes a lot more from like almost a traditional jazz form, basically, where you've got like establishing the chords with the intro and the beautiful vocal harmonies, and then you've just kind of got the thing where everybody just takes a turn taking a solo over the changes,
Right.
and then you know everybody comes back in for a turnaround, and then you do it all over again. So I think that that's kind of neat that they take very much that kind of like jazz song structure for this one, as opposed to being all over the place like they are in a lot of their other songs.
Absolutely. I think they're very comparable to us in that regard, where they dabble in the genre bending a lot. Personally, I think they're doing a little bit better, man. I'm just saying, like, I think these guys, I think they're just like the future for the scene, man. Bands like these guys in particular, like, I cannot wait to see what they're doing in 5 to 10 years.
It's going to be insane.
It's incredible. Like, they're just so talented, down to earth people. Another theme for the bands that I picked, at least most in some regard, do their own production or engineering. I believe the guitarist / like Barry sax player is engineering for these guys, and yeah, great fucking work. Like, I'm so proud of these dudes, and legitimately and stoked to hear more and see them live again. Holy shit. Like, I just need to see them live again.
I would love to see them live. I really hope that some more of these bands do tours and runs through the Midwest and come through Detroit, because that would be so cool to see. Another thing that I really like about this song is because I talked about like kind of everybody takes a turn for a solo, kind of that jazz structure. This is one of the only songs that I've heard that has a bass solo that I'm not like, ew.
Yeah, no, Kevin's insane. That dude rips. In the end,
It's
like,
so good.
It's not just a solo for solo's sake. There's an actual like build up and like climax and like it webs.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, oh man, it's just a really well made solo. But like, yeah,
There's a whole structure just to that bit. Yeah.
What other bands are like pulling off bass solos like that? It's very few and far between. Like, it's awesome.
For sure. As well as, you know, the guitar work, that finger picking stuff sounded beautiful at the beginning. And I know that, at least for me, finger picking is something that I'm not nearly as good at. It takes a lot of skill to do. So major respect to that, especially if the guitarist is one of the people singing when they're performing this live as well. Major props to them, because that's crazy.
Like, Kevin's their main vocalist who does bass, which again, there's some complex bass parts where he's singing at the same time, just like, bro,
oh yeah,
what the fuck?
You know, that actually brings up a question that I'm curious about. I forgot to ask about when we were talking about your album. When you guys play live, now that you've got the couple of songs that you do the vocals on, because you do the like harsh metal screamy vocals, right? Yeah, so I'm assuming that you're gonna have a mic with you at the drums when you're doing that, because that's also something that you don't see nearly as much with a lot of bands, as drummers who do vocals.
For sure. Yeah, I do vocals while playing drums. Sometimes poorly. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. I notice compared to playing guitar and singing, because I did that for my metal band, it's such a different beast because the multi-limb thing going on, but also the hearing, because like 100%, I'll be honest.
Oh, I didn't even think about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like the different rhythms, like you're already playing different rhythms with different limbs and such, but I didn't even think about the hearing aspect.
The hearing throws me off the worst. And like, what's funny is like, I can do fry screams and like false chord screams and stuff like that fairly easily in a studio setting. In a live setting, it's very important for me to hear where I am and like feel it correctly. But when I'm playing drums, it's hard to do that. So like, I'll strain too hard because I can't hear myself in my own head, because everything is so loud while you're playing live drums. And it's something that I'm working on, like with earplugs and things like that. I'm definitely seeing improvements. There's also a lot of parts where I'm taking harmonies. Like, I'm not quite a singer, but like I can fake it for the most part. So a lot of like the harmony and backups, also take those. Andy is the secondary vocalist, but he has a very specific style and tone that he goes for that really fits our sound well. But like, I try to take some of the like actual like more melodic harmonies, as well as our trumpet player Brandon. He's an incredible incredible singer. If you listen to our Afterthought EP, the Toss and Turn remix is him and Jessica basically duetting over it, and he does like this really complex, super sick finger style guitar, and they harmonize on that. The dude's just so fucking talented. Like it's incredible. So he does a lot of the harmonies when he's not playing the trumpet. So if there's not like a horn part that there's a harmony behind, I'll usually take, and it's really not that hard to play drums and sing for me, except for the hearing part, because like again, the screaming stuff I have to feel right, and I have to hear it in my head and know where it is to filter, like to have good technique, because obviously you can just shout and it'll be fine, but like to get the right sound and everything, it's a little difficult if you can't hear anything. And then obviously singing.
Have you tried using in-ears?
No.
Or do you guys mostly just use wedges?
We're so traditional punk band in that aspect. We're like, we literally just kind of show up, set up, and go. Like we don't really have any like backing tracks or in-ears or anything like that. And a lot of the stages we've been playing recently have been a little better than like your traditional like DIY punk venues. So like my monitor situation has definitely improved, and that's helped. It's just it's something I think personally need to work on. I just gotta be able to hear better. I gotta get used to playing drums and singing with earplugs, because like it bothers me because I didn't use earplugs for so long, and now that like I'm actually like taking the audio engineering seriously, I really need to stop fucking around with that, because dude, there was a show on the last tour that we did. I can't remember what the venue was or where we even were. All the dates and things run together, but legitimately the sound guy like clipped like blew out the monitor, which was right by me on the drum wedge, and I legitimately could not hear out of my left ear for an hour, and all I could think was like, I've done it, I'm fucked. Like it eventually stopped ringing and I could hear, but like, man, that I've got to get better at that.
Yeah, well, and I would imagine, I mean, just, you put your fingers in your ears and try to sing. It feels weird because you're only getting feedback from within your own head. And so, like, having to do that for an entire gig seems like it would be really weird. At least with the in-ears, you get, like, that feedback of, like, the outside world as well, instead of just, like, the inside your head kind of sound. But I would also imagine...
It wouldn't be a bad idea
to go for the in-ears. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would work out really well for you. I also would imagine that there's kind of the physicality of when you're drumming and singing. Mm-hmm. Because drumming, if you're a real drummer, drumming is very much like a core workout, because you're using both of your feet. You can't like stabilize yourself with one foot or anything. So like you're really keeping yourself up by your core for the entirety of the set. And then also when people are like, oh yeah, to use good singing technique, you need to sing from your core. So diaphragm. It's like all of that together is like insane to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, with especially like the harsh vocals, is it really does take a lot of compression and power. And I'm not like a trained drummer. Like I literally like learned playing drums out of necessity because the band that I was playing for didn't have a drummer. So it was like, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing. And I don't have the best technique. So like I play really hard, a lot harder than I probably should. And I waste a lot of energy, but like that, it's just, I love that feeling. I get so hyped up playing live and I'm just beating the shit out of them. But I realized like now that we've actually started like doing longer stretches tours, like by like night 3, I'm spent. I'm like, I gotta like tone that back a little bit. And like I've actually gotten a lot better at that. And I realized since I've like toned back on that and started thinking about a little bit lighter technique and things, I've noticed the singing's a lot easier then, because I'm not wasting so much energy just hitting the drums for no reason, unnecessarily hard.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. I'm glad I thought of that, because it didn't even occur to me earlier.
Yeah, and going back to Long in the Tooth, we're thinking about it. It's difficult because that song in particular I wrote and actually did like 90% of the recording for it. I did the guitar, I did the drums, I did the harsh vocals. And if we were to do it live, I would probably take guitar and swap out with Andy, because again, he was the original drummer for the band. He actually is a pretty sick drummer. He just doesn't necessarily play or practice that much. So it's like we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. So like
that would be a cool moment though, getting off the kit, coming to the front to do the song that you wrote and play guitar and kind of take center stage for that. That would be sick.
Yeah, and I mean, you like multi-instrumentalist, like that's Andy. He does all our trombone for the band. So in a live setting, we barely ever have trombone unless we know like somebody in another ska band, which, surprise, any show that we play with, there's a trombone player. We try to like invite like either people just like get up for a song or whatever, and they'll jump up on stage and do that. And then he plays trombone. He does banjo on a lot of songs. He and I both kind of trade a bunch of duties. Like I do the keys, he does like the banjo. He also does the trombone. He also plays tuba really well. So Vidalia, he finally got to play sousaphone for a song for the first time.
Nice.
That was great. And yeah,
that is definitely something I've noticed at ska shows too, is that it feels like there's a lot of like member trading specifically with the horn section, because it's like you've probably got the one person who plays like all the horns on the record, and so then you need somebody else to help fill out the horn section, because that's definitely something I've noticed, a lot of horn players playing multiple sets on a ska bill.
Dude, that's him all the time. Like he's about to tour with Mustard Plug, playing trombone for them. He plays in Joystick.
Nice.
He plays with us. Like another big shout out to Andy. I'd give him a lot of shout outs because he deserves it. I love that. He's my hero.
The man worth a million shout outs.
For real.
So my next song is one that I actually found just like casually browsing Bandcamp. It's not something that I do a ton, but sometimes there's on just like the homepage of Bandcamp, you can go down and you can filter by like new releases, and you can filter by like, you can even go so far as like filtering by location. You can just be like, I want to find new metal releases from Detroit, for example. And it lets you get that specific, which is really cool. I don't utilize this feature nearly as much as I feel like I should, but I was just like looking for new like punk rock type of stuff, and I stumbled on a band that I listened to literally just because of their name, which I thought was funny, which is Pissed Jeans.
Wait, what was it?
Pissed Jeans.
I love it.
I tweeted about it the day that I found it. I'm just like, I just found a band called Piss Jeans, and that just, it made my day. They're based out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, and they're kind of like a garage punk band. They're a lot bigger than I thought, actually, when I found them. They're on Sub Pop Records and have actually been around for almost 20 years now. I think that they released their first song in like 2006.
That rules.
And I was actually surprised when I put out that tweet how many people had heard of them before, because I hadn't. But this is actually their first single off of their upcoming record, Half Divorced, which comes out on March 1st, which will be like a week or two after this comes out. So I think that that's pretty perfect timing. This song is called Moving On by Pissed Jeans. I feel like these guys would be insane to see live.
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of energy there. That man, just like that driving beat is one of my favorite drum beats. Just the deck, 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 deck. There's like, it's such a simple beat, but like it's so like energetic and like just I used that beat a few times on Moonflower, and I love that.
That and like the traditional like like those two are like the two default punk beats, and they just never fail to make something feel high energy. It's great.
Yeah, it's just a nice drive. Like it's not even like the fast punk beat right there, but it's just like you still just nod along and you kind of just want to fucking punch something the entire time. And it's really cool to hear like a little. It's not complex, but like a little more complex, like guitar work and like punk rock. Like they had like that kind of ripping ass solo, which is super sick.
Yeah.
Kind of like Sabbath vibes to it, even with like the guitar tone and stuff.
The funny thing is, I wasn't even thinking about that until this time listening to it. And I was literally about to make that same comparison. That's so funny.
That's awesome.
I also really like how like garagey and grimy it is too, because this is something that I've been getting into recently, which is, you know, just those kind of like more raw live sounding recordings, because it's so easy to just keep layering stuff. I've talked about this a million times. I swear I don't have a problem. But like just how raw it really does feel like a live on the floor recording.
Yeah, it sounds like a real band.
It sounds like they set up a few mics in a garage and let her rip, and just, you know, that's what came out. I mean, you can even hear like the sound of the like amps starting to feed back, like in a couple of parts where there's like the guitar isn't playing for as long and stuff like that. There's just like a palpable raw energy to this that I just can't get enough of.
Yeah, that's like the key takeaway for me was the energy. Not only just that driving beat, but exactly what you're saying, like the just rawness, the real live band sound to it. It still sounded polished and everything, but there was like a grittiness, like garaginess to it. I love like that like style of like almost like Motorhead kind of vocals that are like really not like melodic in any way, but like really just get you like getting that stank face while you're nodding along and just like headbanging. Like I love that.
Well, and the chorus is only 3 words, so by the end of it,
I didn't hear any words at all.
I'm moving on, I'm moving on, I'm moving on. That's
awesome.
all it is the entire time. And so it's one of those things that if you were to see it live, by the end, you're going to be singing along. There's no way you're not, because it's only 3 words. Like you can remember that easy as fuck.
Dude, yeah, that's like the beauty of like just punk in general is like if you got the energy, you got a catchy hook, and you got like a crowd jumping along and singing and screaming that shit, like that's why I love that's why I love punk music right there, is because just the energy.
Yeah, this would go off live. I would love to see them if they. I'm assuming they'll probably tour on this record, so if they come through town, I would love to catch that. So what do we have up next?
I actually let's see. I'm gonna pull this one next. I wasn't sure what order to do it in, so I just grabbed links.
All right.
This is a band that like huge into ska. For a long time. This is one of the first bands that Andy, again, shout out, showed me. He's like, this is right up your fucking alley as like a prog rock guy. These dudes are endlessly talented and impressive, particularly Mr. Eric Dano. This is the Holophonics. I pulled a song from their most recent album, Lavos. These guys are very much in like the ska cover scene. Like they've done a ton, and I mean a ton of like just cover albums of video game soundtracks and shit like that. Like they did Donkey Kong Country, which is again the greatest OST of all time. I have the vinyl for that. They've done Banjo-Kazooie, and I don't actually know if Lavos is like a Chrono Trigger reference, but I imagine it probably is. But this whole album fucking rules. I picked Dream Devoured, which is like the closing track on there. I could have picked any track from here, and it's these guys are so talented. When any band that like jumps to like the weird time signatures or like just the complex like song structures, things like that, I'm always like gonna dig and sink my teeth into it. And the fact that these guys are in like our scene pulling this shit off, and just like these are the fucking goats. Like I've seen them live one time, and they're again just a fucking incredible live band.
I have heard of them before because they came up. I can't even remember what band it was based off of, but they came up on like Spotify radio after listening to an album. They're not songs that I've like come back to, but when I was listening to radio, I must have liked them because they're like in my library marked, but I just haven't come back to them. So I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Yeah,
That'll be really
they're
cool.
super diverse. tracks, and again, I couldn't pick a song, so I was like, that's the one that stuck out to me because like I'm an album listener. I hate shuffling.
100%.
Yeah, I hate shuffling. I hate hearing a song and then next band. Like I want to listen to an album front to back, and I'm always like hyper focused on the intro, the ending, the middle, like where it is, and I love the way that this album ends.
Okay,
I'm gonna just start playing.
Just to start and never finish, never fully realize. Catharsis is a reminder when you let your demons go as an excuse just to see them one more time. It's so deep, but arm's length is where you'd rather keep them. Arm's length is where you'd rather keep them. I wanted to let you down, so you get what you deserve.
Whoa, that's super cool. I like the way that ends with just the horns there. That's really cool.
I get chills every time I hear it. I love that band. And I love the heaviness behind it all, like the intricate guitar work and stuff. And then the horns just going off like that. Like, come on, man. It sounds like fucking Iron Maiden if they had a horn section. It rules.
Yeah, for real. And that's the closing track on the record too, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I do like it's that horn part that's how they end the record. I think it feels so satisfying to do it that way. I like that a lot. It is cool how it's like got this sort of like proggy element to it, but it's kind of interesting how the horns during like while the vocals are going on and stuff actually sounds a lot less progressive than a lot of other music and sounds a lot closer to like that kind of like 90s ska horn section sound.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And then they do the more like progressive stuff during like the instrumental breaks. I think that's really like a neat way to kind of do both.
Yeah, I agree. And that's another, like I said, Eric Dano, he's like a engineer extraordinary. He's super dope guy. He actually does an Adventure Time podcast, which I was really looking forward to going on. But I didn't get to go on that tour and go to Manhattan and do it. It's still Reminds me a lot. But yeah, I love him. I love all their cover albums. But like, I think the biggest like thing I would say is like check out their original music, because like they're pretty sizable as far as like numbers go and things like that. But like, it's mostly people checking out their covers and things like that. But their original music is just fucking out of this world. And Eric actually,
they've been doing this for a while too.
Oh yeah, dude, for a long time. And Eric actually released a solo album, I think last year. It was like Book of Spells. I my years are all fucked, but it rules. Like, dude's so talented. I love him.
Kind of going back to the proggy elements, I think that it's also really neat on this song. The drums do some interesting things on that like gallopy part.
Yeah.
Where there's just the guitar gallop and then the drums come in, but it feels like the drums are almost like dancing around the one, or like dancing around the beat. And so it's like it creates this really weird, like kind of off kilter groove, because I kept expecting it to like hit the one really hard. It was like the one was the only thing that it didn't hit until the rest of the band with the bass came in. And going back to kind of like what I was talking about with the delayed gratification just made that hit feel so good.
It did, because like the entire time, like I feel myself like leaning forward, like when's it gonna hit? And it still hasn't. And then you're just like, oh my god, when's it gonna end? like it's so cool. Yeah, I love that shit. That's like a lot of like what my inspiration comes from with like the weirdness in Flying Raccoon Suit. I like pulling like the odd shit like that in from like the prog world and bringing it into pop music, which is basically like the foundation of what we do, because we have a lot of just like straight up like punk or pop songs, but like if we have that like 2 bars of music that's weird as fuck, like every single one of our songs have that. Like even Red Herring, which is like our most like commercial song, probably starts off and like there's like three hits, like stops, and the horns are like discordant and it makes no sense, and then the outro is like this weird like drony kind of thing, like but sandwich in there is like probably our poppiest song. Like
I like that. That's so cool. So this next one that I'm gonna play is the one that's not currently out yet as of recording. It comes out in like 2 days, so I'm not playing it for you too crazy early. It's by an emo band called I Swallow Ghosts, and they're from Pittsburgh. Yeah. I had been hearing some buzz on Twitter for a little while, and I finally got around to checking them out a few months ago. But this is going to be the first single off of their upcoming record, which comes out March 15th, called Deluxe Kickbike, and this song is called John Cena Later.
Andy, you okay?
I'm fine. It's just that life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired. Also, I can't sleep. I'm overeating. None of my old hobbies interest me.
Biting my tongue till my mouth tastes like iron. You promise you'd be there, I know that you're lying. $25 signed up with a smile. I love you, I miss you, see you in a while. And I think you can tell we've hardly been speaking. I'm perfectly fine lying right through my teeth. Letters and phone calls don't make up for miles. I hope that you're happy, see you in a while. ignoring you again.
I really like that one. It's cool because like all the guitars are like really fuzzed out and it's got this kind of like wall of sound type of thing, but it's also like extremely clean too. Like you can hear every single part in this arrangement clear as day, which I really like.
Yeah, I agree. It is like that super fuzzy sound, but then you have like, you can clearly hear the arpeggiation of the chord and stuff. Like, it's beautiful. I love the halftime like groove.
Oh yeah,
like that's really fucking like quintessential like emo hit groove kind of thing, but like they're doing it really well. Like again, I was so close-minded when this genre was like exploding, and I wish I hadn't been such a dumbass, like, because I love this shit now.
Well, it's kind of funny because I actually hadn't really gotten into like emo. Like I mean, I had listened to like the classic quote unquote emo stuff before, like all the classic like 2000 stuff, but like I hadn't really gotten into like the modern age of it until I kind of got onto Twitter and started becoming mutuals with a bunch of people who are in all these emo bands and stuff. But yeah, like especially with like the really fuzzy stuff, having that, like you have to have like the perfect settings on your like fuzz pedal or whatever to be able to have like that clear of like arpeggios and stuff and not have it get like really muddy. So there's definitely like, even though it may seem simple, if you like listen to it, there's definitely like a lot of tone hunting that went into that to make it sound the way that it does.
For sure. And production wise, like going back to it just sounds like a live band, like especially in the drums and the vocals, where like it's not the cleanest or biggest production sound for those things, but it really fits the genre, it fits the song, and it's got a really dope vibe behind it. Like,
for sure. Yeah, these guys actually reached out to me directly on Discord and sent me this to listen to early, and they weren't even expecting anything out of it. They didn't like specifically ask to be featured on the podcast or anything, but like if somebody's gonna send me early music, I'm gonna try and make that happen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
It would be kind of a dick move if I didn't. But I actually asked them about if there was anything specific that they wanted me to mention, and they were saying that this EP, it's 5 songs, it's going to be out in March, and they were saying that this is the first time that their music has taken on a bit of a more serious vibe. They've typically been a bit more of a lighthearted band. They released
with
one
John
song
Cena
last
later?
year.
Come on now.
They released one song last year in November called Friendsgiving Edibles, and it's just about getting high and hanging out with your friends. But they were telling me that this is kind of a departure for them lyrically, because it's about a bit more serious topics. Like this is about like childhood abandonment issues and things like that. So I think that it'll be something once the EP comes out that people can really sink their teeth into lyrically, which is nice.
I'm excited for it because I again didn't really dive into that genre very much, and I'm like experiencing that now, and it'll be really cool seeing like a modern band taking that genre on still. Like, I don't know. It's cool. I
In
know,
the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even like the intro has that like almost memeable, like the Midwest emo thing where it's like, now you have like the emo guitar riff, and they put it like the TV show's dialogue or whatever, and like make that thing. But like
sad TV show scene.
It really does, like,
but it works really well. Yeah.
No, it sets the scene for the song, and it's like I started feeling it. I was like, damn, I'm fucking tired too, man. I'm tired too.
It's one of those things that in particular, I kind of put the like sad TV show on over a guitar riff kind of in like for emo as the same thing as like in metalcore guys going blah.
Yeah.
It's
right before
it's
the
same
breakdown
thing.
they say something and then the ride bell.
Exactly, because like it hits so hard every time, but it also happens so often that it almost becomes comical.
No, absolutely.
And I find that really interesting.
It is like perfect for it, but there was like a small part of me that's like, oh man, I can see this being a meme. But at the same time, it's like, no, just fucking own it, dog. That's awesome. And also 100%. To go back to the meme, like anytime that like I see like the TV show over it, it hits every single time. I'm like, oh yeah, this fucking rules. Like it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, not gonna lie, this hits pretty hard. Like this goes off. Like,
it became a trope for a reason because it works. Exactly. It is good. It just kind of became overdone. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you there. So what do we have up next?
I think I'm gonna throw out another ultimate shout out one. I'm doing a Jer song.
Nice.
They again like shouted us out when we were like pretty much up and coming when we released Static Home, which is probably our most popular song and my favorite song to play live. I love that song. It's kind of jazzy. It's very indie, and I think they heard that sound, the indie vibe to Static Home, and I think that resonated with them, and I think that's why they shared it. I don't remember the exact like quotes and things, but when it was shared, we were all just like hyped because obviously Jer's our hero with like, especially like back then doing the ska tune stuff, like, you know, holy shit. They now do like the solo stuff with Jer, and I saw Jer sometime last year. It's been a little bit, sometime last year. I can't remember. It was in New Orleans, an amazing live set. But this one kind of gave me the same vibes. Like it's almost like a more like an indie kind of maybe emo indie song. And this one really resonated with me when the Bother Unbothered album came out. So I just wanted to share that one.
This soul has a profound power, changing the world with every passing hour. Maybe people find it scary, leaving their comfort zone. person who never changes the tone. Wishing everything could stay the same. Thinking life would end up being okay. Maybe no definitely won't be growing roots on the ground. Maybe wait, no definitely we'll grow older and grow better, no doubt. Complacency will be left out. Never too old to give in. A stagnant mind is my biggest sin.
Hell yeah.
They've always got something up their sleeve.
I know,
It's
man.
always, no matter what it is, you're like, all right, I can see where this is going. And then there's always something that throws it in kind of a different direction. I love it.
I love the uneasiness that it kind of has. It's like droney and like beautiful chord voicings where it's almost ominous, but then the chord voicings themselves kind of have a hopefulness to it. It's like the music itself is telling the story, and then you think it's over, and it just fucking smacks you in the face, and then it's just like, it's like, oh man, I've
Yeah.
been smacked in the face. That was a great song, and then it goes back down. It's just like, oh man, we're on a journey. It's fucking awesome. And I'm not typically like a lyric listener, like, but something about Jared's music, they got me. I don't know. Maybe it's because when they do the shows live, it's very prominent that they're writing important music politically,
Yes.
mental health wise, and everything they're saying, like, I resonate with in this song. I don't know what it is. Like, it just the first time I've heard it, it resonated with me, and up to this one, which is probably the 100th time I've heard it, it resonated with me. I love it.
100%. I also really like in the second verse, and again, when it comes back down, there's like some extra auxiliary percussion and stuff like that just like, it's got this kind of, you know, like you said, this like emo indie rock kind of feel to it, but it's got this little like underlying groove that makes it feel so different from all of that as well, that I really, really like.
It's really cool because they incorporate like the one drop, like reggae style drum beat with like that indie emo guitar part. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And shout out to Woody, their drummer. Oh my God. Talk about heroes. Oh man, that guy's insane. And then I believe, and this could be incorrect, but I believe Reed from Weird the Union, I think she produced this record, but I could be wrong there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know she does a lot of the ska community, and well, just in general, she does a lot of production work. Really good shit.
Nice. I really enjoyed this record when it came out. I saw Jer, they headlined Stoop Fest last year, which is a really cool like DIY festival here in Michigan, out in Lansing. And yeah, put on just an absolutely killer show.
Hell
and
yeah.
then have, you know, been dropping singles and like the Ska Tune Network shit, and like they don't stop.
Yeah, it's another one where it's similar to Holophonics, where I wish the original music had as much light shown as the cover stuff, because don't get me wrong, I love the covers, especially that Undertale whole album that they did.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, that shit slaps. Not that they're not doing well on the solo stuff, but I do wish that a little more light was shown there too.
I agree. You also see them popping up on a lot of features recently, doing horns for other bands and stuff like that too, which is really cool. So my next song is another one that was submitted to me directly by an artist the day that it came out, which actually came out the same day as the Premium Rat song that I played at the beginning of this episode. So another 2024 song. I'm surprised how many good tunes have come out in just the first month of the year. It leads me feeling pretty hopeful for the rest of the year.
Okay.
But it's kind of interesting because this is a band, they refer to themselves as hyper rock, basically basically it's like hyper pop mixed with rock music, which we've seen quite a bit recently. There's, I mean, it feels like a lot of people are merging hyper pop with different things because you can just like the glitchy edits and like all of that stuff is really in right now.
Yeah.
But I'm still really digging it. I don't feel like it's overdone quite yet.
Have you heard
But-
Eichler's take on Swan Song, by the way, from Moonflower?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah. That was the second single, because Swan Song was the first single, right? And then the remix came out like a week or two after.
We were super excited for that. We love Eichler so much. The hyper pop genre, I'm down for it.
It's so crazy. They've been releasing a lot of really cool stuff recently. If you haven't checked them out before, highly recommend it. But this is a band. This is their first single, and I was really surprised. They have quite a few connections through like previous bands and such, but I was really surprised that they took off as fast as they did with just the one single coming out. But this is Losing My Head by Color Me Crazy.
Delirious, numbing my senses again. All of these drinks are never enough. Thinking of you is just way too much. My head is swimming over my heartbreak. Never thought I'd be so insane, but I don't want the feeling to end, 'cause now it's all that I got left. I'm hanging on to the past when we were still friends, I guess. How can we fix this mess? I swear I'm losing my head, trying my best to get over you. But it's never my turn to find a place in this world without you. And I'm burning on the inside like a wish on a fire. Your memory stings over and over like a raging fire. If I could just explain the pain I'm feeling every day, maybe then you would miss the fuck out of me like I miss the fuck out of you. Waves of emotion dominate my brain. Then it creates a cycle of endless pain. I love myself until I can't feel a thing. Still I can feel a thing. I'm hanging on to the past when we were still friends, I guess. I'm losing my head, to get over you. But it's never my turn to find a place in this world without you. And I'm burning on the inside like a wish on a fire. Your memory stings over and over like a raging fire.
That was so much fun.
Wow. Dude, it kept getting heavier and heavier. Like the ending was just like the double kick kicks in. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
If you hadn't prepped me for that, I would have had such whiplash when it went from the hyper pop to just the straight up like metal song. Like, it's so cool.
I feel like it works really well though, because like the glitch edits in like this song, I feel like are very tastefully done. A lot of the time they, you kind of lean into how glitchy things sound with like the hyper pop idea, and it gets to be like its own kind of like weird heaviness.
Yeah.
But this is like the more like, I think of like Break-Ins and other artists like that kind of do like a cleaner hyper pop. type of deal when it comes to like the verses, and then it's like that aggression from the like metal-y rock kind of stuff that really like brings up the energy in the choruses to me.
Yeah, man, I love music. This is awesome. This is good. You got good taste, Ryan. I appreciate this. This is awesome.
Thank you. The other thing that I really like is when the drums come in the second verse and they're just like so like distorted and huge.
Yeah. There's
so fun.
I love that effect, and I use that all the time in my mixes, but it's one of those things where it's like a ultra compressed sound with saturation.
Yeah.
And like I use like this, it's like a stock Pro Tools thing called like BF76 or something, where you just put all the buttons on. You turn the compression up to a disgusting level. And I love that sound, but it's almost unusable. But they found a way to use it, and it's such a great way. Like, it's so good. It actually gives me ideas for like future things, like that same thing that we were talking about earlier, like that pre-chorus kind of thing where it's a different drum production thing. Like, that was a really cool take on it. And like I hear almost exactly what they did there, and I'm just like, man, that's smart. I love that.
Yeah, the production on this is so good. Like, I don't know if it's weird to say, but like this type of music, a lot of the time I find like a lot of the production to be like heavy-handed. And like this is heavy-handed in a way, but it doesn't feel quite as like ham-fisted as like a lot of other stuff in the genre to me.
Yeah, it's not overproduced at all.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm also really surprised because, like I said, this song has been out for almost a month, and this is their only release. They're already up to over 2,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Oh, that's awesome.
They have been doing some crazy like advertising online. Like they've just been, I think that they've been reaching out to a bunch of people directly, which is how I found out about the release. And honestly, like a lot of people will post on social media and things like that, but I think reaching out directly, especially through email to different like publications and, you know, blogs and like whatever, really is like a good way to do it that a lot of people don't really bother with because they've been burned on it so many times. But
yeah, I mean, whatever they're doing is working, and they got you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, social media is so fucking crazy. Like, it's the only reason why we have any success. And yet it's the one thing that we hate the most. It's like, oh my God. And love the most at the same time.
Yes.
Fuck, it's exhausting.
100% love-hate relationship, because it feels like if you're gone for like any amount of time that people will forget about you. And so you just like constantly have to be on that grind. But at the same time, you're like, I feel like I am on social media way too much. Dude,
there's nothing I hate like more than that feeling of like, all right, album promo, I'm gonna post something today for like the 19th day in a row, and like the people get it, like the people that see it every day, they're like, oh yeah, fucking grind away, like absolutely. But it just
get your bag. Yeah,
you get in your head about it. It's just like, oh, look at me, but it's like you have to be that way. You straight up do.
No, 100%. I was I made a joke about it around the beginning of the year, something to the effect of like, most people's New Year's resolution, I'm going to be on social media less. And then it's like, in artist New Year's resolution, I'm going to be on social media more. We just have such a like backward ass like relationship with it. It's so funny to me. So what do we have coming up next?
I got two more. And again, a band that you name called earlier. And I'm just like, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy just knows what's up.
I'm do my research.
For what may be either my favorite album from last year or my second favorite. This is Power Up. And I went, again, another like one where I'm like, I don't know what song to choose. There's too many good ones. I think this one's the perfect one for anybody to jump into to kind of get a feel of what you're going into. Because this band is fucking bizarre. This band is bananas.
They're all over the place.
They're all over the place. And like, I fucking love them. And we got to play with them last year on our big tour. And again, wanted to go home and throw away my fucking guitars, drums, all of it. Get rid of it. I'm not fucking worthy, dude. These guys fucking kill. They kill. And I believe they also have an engineer in their band. I don't remember which member it is.
Everybody's got an engier in their band at this point. Like, it's 2020, man.
Yeah. And the production on this is phenomenal. So like, I love them. This one's King Kong. Come on,
See,
man.
this is why I like modern ska so much, is because I have such a diverse music taste, and like this is the only type of stuff that like checks every single box in the same song.
Dude, for
Because
real.
it's like it's got the like hardcore and the punk. It's got like funky type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like more like traditional ska. It goes all over the place, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, what else can you say? Like, come on, dude. This is like the bar keeps getting risen for like ska core in general. Like, I think that
Yes.
particular like ska subgenre, the ska core subgenre, I guess, even within it now, it's getting fancier with like shit like this. Where
Yeah.
it's just like now we're kind of like doing a Rush type riff, and then we're going back to hardcore to more of like a traditional ska like two tone almost like groove. It's just like what the fuck in the same song, so good, and it's hilarious too. Just like the lyrical content and like the sarcasm and the wittiness, like oh,
It's so relatable to anybody who just works some sort of like you know blue collar job where you know you're at this point barely scraping by, and everybody's just had that feeling.
Yeah.
It really is just like lyrically, it is so relatable.
Mm-hmm. I love this band so much. I love this album so much. And I'm still torn. I refuse to make a decision between this and SMS. Like, I don't know. Like, SPI last year just went the fucking hardest, man. It's insane.
I'll tell you, both of those records, I have about half of the track list checkmarked on Spotify.
Yo, for real. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it was a great year for music. And this shit just... I knew it was going to go hard. But, like, when we got to listen to it a little bit earlier, I was like, what the fuck are y'all doing, man? Holy shit. It's so good.
I think that this is another one that I listened to the day it released at midnight because I was so excited for it. One of the things that I'm noticing listening to a bunch of different like modern ska bands back to back tonight is one of the most interesting things to me is how each band utilizes their horn section slightly differently in the non-traditional ska parts. Because I feel like a lot of the time they'll be like playing like a counter melody to the vocal, or you know like little runs in between vocal lines and stuff like that. I feel like Power Up use their horn section almost the way that like a metal or rock band would use like a second guitar player.
Yeah.
Playing these like kind of simple like arpeggiated type of licks just over top of the main riff. And I think that that's a really good way to do it. But like I said, it's interesting to me how they kind of like each band uses the horn section completely differently.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And this album also has a ton of features. And like one of my favorite one is just Joe from The Best of the Worst on there. Like, oh, dude, so beautiful.
Oh yeah. I also with the vocal delivery here too, especially in the first couple verses, like he's doing that super like screamy kind of vocal delivery, but it's crazy to me how he's able to keep that sense of delivery while still having these beautifully on pitch harmonies.
It's crazy. And also
because
like
it's still got this attitude and grit to it, but also like beautiful harmony. It's crazy.
yeah, and all the members in the band sing, and like it kind of shows through because like you'll hear like certain bands like later in the studio, you hear the same voice doing those harmonies and stuff, and you kind of it's a certain sound, but like there's something else going on here where it's just like, yo, these are some singers. Like it's crazy. And then like the ridiculous range of the verse, like I can't even like falsetto what he's doing like in my head. Like it's wild.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely the different flavor between having different people sing when you're doing like harmonies or gang vocals, or having the singer just do it. Personally, I think that there's like a weird uncanny valley thing that can happen when you have the same singer layering too many things, because they pronounce everything the same. And so it almost starts to sound alien because every single person is pronouncing it the same way, as opposed to like, even if we grew up in the same place and had like the same accent, everybody is going to be pronouncing things slightly different as just to hit the notes and things like that.
Right,
and I feel like it makes it sound more live and real to me, which I really like.
No, totally. That's a good point. That's something I'm always conscious of when layering vocals, because like, I mean, we layer the vocals pretty heavy. Like almost everything is at least doubled. Jessica likes to do weird harmonies, but like there's always a time in place, like where I'm always like, hold off on that harmony. Let's get either myself, Andy, or Brandon to do it, just to give this that particular vibe for a specific harmony sound. But I think that's something to like really be conscious of in the studio, because you're absolutely right. Once
I feel like there's more depth almost.
Yeah, and it's almost like a thing too that I'm conscious of when I'm producing. Like I'm wearing the actual producer role, like or producer hat rather. Is like if everything is always harmonized all the time, nothing sticks out, nothing is special about it. So it's like you really want to like almost reserve that shit for things that need to really pop and excel. And like there's a lot of things that I do where I'll completely scrap the double track just so one single vocal is here. That way when the double kicks in, it's not something you hear actively, but it's something that just makes the sound more intense and stuff.
Yeah, it feels a little more you just feel a little more emphasis to that line. Yeah, for sure. All right, so my final song of the evening is another one that I was introduced to on Twitter. I don't know if you're familiar with Western Jaguar. I have featured one of his songs on the podcast. He's a indie rock self-produced artist, and he every like week or so does like a shout out of like new artists and people who follow him, and like makes a playlist and stuff like that. And this artist had just followed him, and he tagged me on this song because he was like, I feel like this is something that Ryan would really like, and he absolutely nailed it. I fucking love this song. It's by a band called Thursday Marks Fall, and this was released about a year ago. This song is called Sine, Cosine, and Tangent, bringing you back to high school math class. I like how even though there's like lyrics to this song, like the core of it feels like an instrumental jam, which I think is kind of interesting.
No, that was awesome. I love the I guess I don't know, like the tap kind of riff that almost like Midwest emo thing. The guitar tone, holy shit, just in general. Like talk about wall of sound, like god damn.
Oh my goodness.
It's
got
so,
this like ethereal quality to it almost. It's crazy.
Like the rhythm guitar is beautiful that I guess you would just qualify it as like a lead guitar. And then even on like, I don't know if it's the second or the third verse where it started getting more complex with like the hammers and pulls and like stuff like that. It's just like, man, that song had a great build, had a great climax. I love the whoo part. Like, that was great. Oh man, that was sick.
I feel like I would call that guitar part almost like an instrumental hook, basically.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing that they keep coming back to, because it doesn't feel like there's really like a super memorable chorus to this song.
Right.
Is there even a chorus? I feel like it's just verses and then it goes to that tapping part.
Honestly, the whole song was like it was edging.
Yeah.
Like it was just it built up the entire time, and yet it still was like it never got boring. It was just building up, and it did climax, but I don't know where.
But yeah, this one also, like production wise, the just like super punchy drums are like done perfectly.
Yeah.
Just all of the production on this is insane. They mentioned that they have a record that they're currently working on that'll probably come out sometime this year, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, this is like AAA production here. That was clean. It was sick. Again, with the pre-chorus drums, like the room mics cranking up and stuff. I'm like, all right, I see a pattern here, and I see y'all.
We've got a theme. The funny thing is, I didn't even recognize that, but apparently that's just something that I really like subconsciously.
I love that. Like I didn't realize it was in every song ever. That's why I love it.
Yeah, right.
That was great.
All right, how are we rounding out the evening?
I'm gonna pull in another ska scene band. Another ska core band who was really like when I was getting into the new ska scene, this was the first band that, like, again, Andy turned me on to, was like, nah bro, listen, I know you're not the biggest ska fan, but hear me out, dog. You gotta check out this band called The Best of the Worst. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll check them out. Incredible. Loved them. Then they came out with Better Medicine. I don't know what year that was. Maybe pandemic year, maybe a little after, maybe before. And it instantly shot to probably one of my favorite albums of all time. Like, just hard
really
stuff. I love this record so much. I think I love the different dual vocalist, and then Joe, similar to me, he's like on some songs singing on drums. Okay. One of the just most talented drummers of all time. Like, he's so good. He's so much fun to watch live, because I don't know how he musters the energy, because like I said, I hit drums hard. I'm not even close to the level of velocity this man puts into every hit. And like, he's just incredible. He's like the primary songwriter as well. So I like really look up to him in that way. And nice. Best of the Worst. I chose Rotten Dichotomy just because it's a slapper. Let's see, get to it.
Resilience, every day should be your last. Every day should be your last. You're proving that you just don't care. Yeah, that's all you get, you just quit. At least you'll see what is there. There's not enough that's inside and stuff before my ears begin to bleed. If you can't let me be, stop the
duality is real. It's time to let the bigots be taken down by the misfits. We will not agree to secede. This is our fucking time. As your generation crumbles, ours will begin too.
Fuck yeah.
Holy fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
I really like that last horn note there between the two. There's like a really gritty like harmony between them. They're not like exactly in tune. There's like a roughness that just fucking so good.
Yeah, and like this whole album has moments like that fucking everywhere, and it's a really heavy record, but there's like moments where it does lighten up and like a lot of just really melodic parts and like beauty. There's like a song that Liz sings on that's just so fucking good. It's so short, and then they come back and kick your fucking dick in again. Oh my god, it's so good. I love this record so much. And again,
this
like,
is a band that I have heard of, but I've never actually checked out before. So that's also really exciting for me. And this being my introduction to them was kind of insane.
Yeah, no, check out like, literally Better Medicine. Just play it tonight after this podcast. Just listen.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the plan right now, actually.
Yeah. No, they fucking rule. And again, one of the greatest bands to just watch live because the energy is in fucking insane. Also, check out Thirsty Guys. It's like kind of the same band members, but like Joe's now singing, and oh my god, they're incredible too. It's completely different genre, but man, shit, yeah, I love these guys so much. Nicest, sweetest people too, like on the planet. I shared a chicken disc with Joe. What the fuck? My light just like decided to turn to 1,000 for no reason. Hold on one second. God,
that was crazy. Is that you? Don't go towards the light.
But yeah, at Fest, we typically get to hang out with them, and it's always a great time. And again, the Thirsty Guys set and the Best of the Worst set, like on the same night. Come on, man, it's insane.
Yeah, the vocal performance on this one is something that I was really into. I do like the two different vocalists, the way that they like swap back and forth, but also just like the very like hardcore inspired delivery of a lot of his vocals are just killer.
Yeah, no, it really does just like that's like just icing on the cake right there. There's a whole meal for you in that album too. It's so delicious.
I bet. Also, going back to something that we mentioned before, when they hit the China cymbal before the breakdown, you know you're about to die in the pit. That just killed me, man. And the buildup was kind of insane for that too, because I just like I kept expecting the breakdown to start, and then like the buildup just kept happening. I'm like, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna reminded me of the fucking the Lonely Island bit where it's like the when will the bass drop? When will the bass drop? When will the bass drop? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
but it's
I fucking fuck with Lonely Island. I love them
it's
so
like
much.
the exact same like thing to me where I'm just like, I'm ready for it. When's it gonna happen? I want to go.
Yeah, in the way that he's going off too before, like, because like it's typical like for the hardcore breakdown, like the singer's just like, I want to see you fucking bite each other's dicks off and just like all this shit, but like he's going off on like just the coolest like lyrics, and it hits so hard, especially in this era because I believe this came out on like the height of like the Trump era and stuff, or maybe not. Maybe I'm reading into that
2021 is when this came out, so it's probably when it was written.
So it hits so hard, and
yeah,
fuck, put out a new album, y'all, please, I'm dying here.
Oh man. Yeah, I cannot wait to check out more of that because that is absolutely killer. And again, just a testament to why I've grown to like this genre so much is because there's just so much diversity to it. I think it's such a cool scene, and I'm glad to have been exposed to it so much over the last year. Is there anything else that you want to mention about the record or anything that we might have missed previously before we sign off for the end of the episode?
Honestly, I'm not sure. It's just been a great time to talk with you about about it and get to experience new music, find new things, and share this story and whatnot for you for the band Flying Raccoon Suit and the album Moonflower. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, I had a blast.
Yeah, me too.
I had a great time. This has been the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people.
Don't forget to take this with you when you go. Don't forget to take this with you when you go. Don't forget to take this with you when you go. Don't forget to take this with you. I'll let you go.